Okay, so that was a close one, match 4. Now this is the 5th and final match. For sideboarding notes for these 5 matches, look at the written portion. I wrote down what I did. So now for this match, we want to keep this hand on the draw. We have first turn Accelerant, we have second turn Mind Sensor. If we think that's effective, we have another mana producer, we have Ghost Quarter, we have Path. So we kind of have a lot of stuff going on in this hand. There's no way we mulligan this hand. Looks like we're up against Affinity. They have a pretty reasonable opening. Still just want to lead with first turn Accelerant. All right, get in there with the Memnites, Ornithopter into Edge Champion. So quite the hand. It's going to be a tough one to win. So at this point, I figure like I don't really want to path anything. Mind Sensor's not going to do a whole lot on this board, so we're just going to go crazy and play all our mana accelerants. And the Bird of Paradise is willing to chump block if they have the cranial plating, but they're probably just going to put it on the champion anyway, so just hope they don't have plating. They don't. They crane into Mox Opal, activate. Now, here we're just going to take the damage. No sense chump blocking, 1 point of damage. So we go to 11, pretty low in life. We draw a Township. Okay, that's a thing. That's pretty useful on this board, as long as they don't have a like Master of a Theorem or something. We're just going to get 1 point of damage in here. Or I'm not one. We're going to attack with our one exalted creature, getting 3 points of damage because it's not an integral part of our game plan this turn. They can't really afford to attack because of the Township. Activate the Nexus. What do they have? Do they have like a Galvanic Blast or what's going on here? Well, we're going to play into it. All right, block, block, block. After blocks, I'll activate Township. So I eat your 3 attackers and take 3. All right, you just didn't have anything. Okay, cool. End step, I'm not going to path anything, or will I? So the reason I didn't path yet, I'm thinking about Steel Overseer. Really don't want that card to be a thing. Or if they, yeah, so we're kind of playing around that by not pathing. Then we do another path. So now we're kind of in a position where it's like, well, okay, now we can go for it if we deem it appropriate to do so. So we have access to 8 mana, so we can afford 1 attacker here. We're not going to activate Township yet, because we might still want to play the Mind Sensor. Affinity usually runs a mountain, sometimes a mountain and an island. If they have Glint Nest Crane, they probably have a mountain and an island. So we kind of want the Mind Sensor on the board when we path to exile, so that they don't just hit their basics. So we attack for 4, and they're contemplating a chump block. Probably not going to do that. Probably just go to 12. And then we're just going to go ahead and, well, we Ghost Quarter them. They hit their island. All right, so no sense pathing yet. I was thinking I want to just take them off a land. And then I could path, and then, so let's talk about that for a second. So my plan was to Ghost Quarter them. So then they just have Citadel, Drum, Opal. And then I go, okay, path your Crane, path your Ornithopter. So now all you have is Etch Champion, Opal, Drum, Citadel. So now if you want to play, say, a Cranial Plating and equip it to the champion, well, you have to tap the champion to get that extra mana from the drum because you have no creatures to activate the drum to get that 3rd mana to equip. So I was playing around Cranial Plating being lethal by doing the Ghost Quarter play with the Mind Sensor. So if I go Ghost Quarter, path, taking away that line. But since I Ghost Quarter and they immediately found the island in the top 4, which is kind of unlucky since they have probably just island, maybe island mountain in their library out of 48 cards. It was in the top 4. But given that they found it on the first hit, there's no sense pathing now because now it's still lethal. So it's like, well, all right, let's proceed. They're like, all right, attack you, okay? And now on your end step, since I want to untap and I want to do things on my turn, and I want to try to, kill you, now it's time to unload these paths. So let's kill the bird, then we'll kill an ornithopter. And now it's untap. Drew collected company, interesting. So we can't actually kill the opponent, so we'll just block the Aven Mind Sensor. And then even if we there's nothing we can do with Township to make this lethal. So given that we don't have lethal this turn, we're going to have lethal next turn. We'll just cast the company and see what happens. All right, so we got Eternal Witness, that's good. Eternal Witness can get back the Path to Exile, and I can play the Ghost Quarter off the Courser from the top of our deck. Ghost Quarter your land, Path to Exile your Ornithopter. Now we're back to the situation we were in before. We were playing around you drawing the cranial plating. Now we'll get in the attack for 5 since we can. You go to 7. Now we're threatening lethal next turn with the Township, and I've exhausted all your resources to where cranial plating is no longer an out. Depending on what the last card in your hand is. And also, another card that's not an out because I gained a life off of the Courser, the Galvanic Blast is not an out. So if they attack us down to 5 and blast us, we're at 1 because the Courser gained us that life. So the opponent had a pretty good draw, and they made that one bad attack into our Township when they lost the Nexus and the 2 Memnites. As things unfolded, that allowed us to handcuff them a little more. I think it cost them an extra draw step because if we just think of the board as is, they never had any good attacks with those creatures from that point on, because we always had the nobles and the birds to keep all their 1/1s at bay. So basically, they would just be chump blockers eventually. And next turn, given the way the board is set up, they're going to be chump blocking next turn, and it'll be chump blocking just to barely stay alive. So yeah, so basically, it would have bought them one more turn if they didn't make that bad attack. And given that we have a Courser, if there's land on top, then that one draw step would have to be plating. I don't think it could be Galvanic Blast. Maybe it could be Galvanic Blast. But anyway, yeah, so the opponent took away their 10% equity or whatever to win this game with that bad attack. But still, like, they had a really good draw, and we came back and won pre-sideboard, which is pretty good. So the way we sideboard, we want to bring in the 3 Stony Silence, the 1 Linvala, because Linvala shuts down Steel Overseer if they have that, shuts down Arcbound Ravager. So those are good enough for the Linvala, and then also just blocking their flyers, like their Signal Pests and stuff. It's just good to have another flyer. Reclamation Sage obviously deals with the Gearpar Ether Grid or any of their, their plating and stuff like that. Kasali Pride Mage, same thing. You do not want to bring in Engineered Explosives because even though it's good at like killing their, their 0 mana creatures and their 1 mana creatures and even some of their 2 mana things, I don't like it because of the Nambo with Stony Silence. So if we only had like 1 Stony Silence or something, I would probably bring them in. But since we have 3, we can fairly reliably have a Stony Silence in our draw. And a lot of the games do come to, like, even with a Stony Silence, just like extra dead draws are pretty bad. And Engineered Explosives isn't the type of card where it's just like, oh my god, this card wins us the game. It's still just like a pretty good card. But like a lot of boards, even just like, we have a noble and we have like I don't know, a voice, or like we have a noble hierarch and we have a like a core serve Crewfix and whatever on the board, then like, well, do we even want to play the explosive for 1? It's like sometimes it's not even that good. So yeah, the fact that it's a Nambo with the Stony, you don't want to bring that in. So you just want to bring in the other 6 cards. And then what I bring out, the Azusa isn't great because it's pretty slow and the games don't tend to go that direction. Tireless Tracker, kind of has the same nombo that if you make clues, you can't sack the clues, and it's also pretty slow. So I like to take out the trackers. Scavenging ooze isn't great. It is a way to gain some life. I think I keep it in, but I can see cutting those. Then Voice of Resurgence is the other card that's not really great in this matchup, because a lot of their creatures that are important, they fly, or it's Etch Champion and the Voice can't block it. So you can never really get a good chump block in with the Voice, and then they're not really playing spells on our turns outside of like Galvanic Blast, which they can pretty easily just play on their turn anyway. And yeah, so like the Voice just doesn't really do a lot in this matchup. So I like to cut most, if not all of those. So now on the draw, I drew the Stony and I can't keep this hand because there's no lands. Of course, every hand that has like no lands is going to be look really good. We're like, oh, we have like turn 1 Noble, turn 2 Stony, and we're just great shape. But of course, we won't have lands. So mulligan this one. Got to win the hard way, I guess. Can't just get that free win with the Stony Silence. This hand is definitely a keeper. We have the turn 1 bird. Turn 2 we can play Courser. We can play another bird and set up the clump. I keep wanting to call it Clumpany. Why is it a Clumpany? It's a collected company on turn 3. So definitely keep this hand. Noble Hierarch can go to the bottom. We don't need that. We already have double mana Accelerant. Hey, look at that! Our best friend, right on time. Just when you thought we'd have to win the hard way. Mulliganed away a Stony Silence and then found one right on top. Alright, so they glint nested into Master. Okay, so let's turn off that Darksteel Citadel with the Stony Silence. And then we'll just play a bird. And we'll play the Forest and the bird because we don't really mind keeping. We want to, like next turn, we might play Courser and we'd rather have that fetch open so we could reset the Courser. So, all right, play Ravager. That's great. Little 1/1, no abilities. And draw another company. Okay. I think we're just going to cast the company here, see what happens, because if we hit a Courser, then we might not want to play the land first. And we're not really going to be blocking with anything. So I'm just going to play that first. Not really a great company there. Now we'll play our land. Kind of rather just have a Courser than what that company found us, but whatever it is, what it is. Added more mana to the board. And they still can't cast that Master unless they have another land. Galvanic Blast on the Ooze, sure, okay. Attack for 2, no problem, 17. The Stony's buying us a ton of time. So now we have access to 6 mana this turn. I think we want to start by casting Collected Company for the same reasons as last turn. We find Rex Sage and Knight. Okay, that's something. Kill the Ornithopter, so he can't move the Ravager trigger over. And we'll just play this Ooze. So now we're set up. We have a lot of stuff going on now. So we can start going crazy with this Knight of the Reliquary next turn. So they really need to get that Master of Ethereum out. And even then, like that's not going to help them that much. It's just going to kind of keep them from getting run over. They could pull something else out. Ethergrid would be good here. Alright, Edge Champion, that'll hold off the Knight. Okay, attack us down to 13. Now we're about to start gaining life with the Courser Knight combo. So, oh, and there's the Excavator. That could be useful. I don't really want to do it now. I'd rather get the Courser going so we can gain that life. Alright, we find Ghost Quarter. Let's ghost quarter you, ghost quarter that. They actually had both basics. This is the first game we saw that mountain. So might have taken a different line if I thought they had mountain. So they play the master, attack with edge champion. Okay. I don't think we're in danger of, dying anytime soon. So now at this point, we're just kind of playing this game of they're down to one card in hand. They have 3 mana. We could have played the scavenger, bring back Ghost Quarter, like your Spire, to put you down to 2 lands. That might have been the better play because that plays around Gearpart Ether Grid. But I was thinking I'll give you 1 turn to resolve that, which I think was probably a mistake. I think I should have done that. I should have gone Excavator, Ghost Quarter your land. But I don't think we get punished. So go to 12 and they draw Signal Pest. Okay. Sack, go get Township, activate Township. So now on tap, draw our land, play it. So again, I think we should have. So what we should have done there, and last turn I think was probably a mistake. This turn I'm fairly certain it was a mistake. So what we should have done was we should have ghost quartered them last turn off the excavator. This turn we should have activated Knight to get ghost quarter you. Excavator, play the ghost quarter from my graveyard, ghost quarter use, and then you're down to 1 land. All you have is an island. So now you have basically nothing you can draw at this point. That's what I should have done. I did not do that. I do not think I get punished though, but it was still wrong. So instead I was just trying to end the game, activate Knight, get Horizon Canopy, and then activate Township. So there's a land on top of my library, not especially useful. Activate Township, and then I guess activate Ooze. Oh, I can activate Canopy, play Pride Mage, kill your master. Now you're basically dead. I'm gonna activate Knight, get rid of that Noble Hierarch, find a Ghost Quarter, it's Path on top. Okay, Ghost Quarter your land. Now you're back down to 2 lands. And I know that I'm drawing a path next turn, which will just basically seal the game. They can attack for 4, putting us down to 9, but we're gaining life off this courser, so not too worried about anything going wrong. They're at 18, but their life's going to start dwindling fast, and we're about to Ghost Quarter lock them with this Excavator, which we should have done last turn. So they attack us, we get on 9, okay. Play Memnite, sure. This is pretty brutal though. Stony Silence. It's not actually doing that much. It's basically just turning off their Arcbound Ravager. I think we probably would have won this game without the Stony Silence. Maybe Ravager would have been difficult. We kind of slowed him down because of the Citadel. Gained some life off the Ooze as well. So we're up to 11. Not sure why the replay is going slow. we draw the path. Yeah, so I think it's kind of choose your own adventure at this point, and I chose Excavator to get Ghost Quarter back. Ghost Quarter your land, so now you're off red mana. Search out the last Ghost Quarter your land. So now you have no lands, because these don't do anything. You have no mana. I have a 16/16 out of the Reliquary. I have you Ghost Quarter locked. I can get back Horizon Canopy each turn to draw an extra card off the Excavator. So you're not playing any spells for the rest of the game basically. And I take 4 a turn, but I'm gaining at least 2 a turn off of like the Knight and the Excavator because of the Courser. And like you can't keep attacking me because I have 16/16 and an 8/8 and a 4/6, and like I can just activate the township again. So basically just dead in 2 turns no matter what they do. They're just chump blocking, and they have no lands, so they have no way to recover. So yeah, this was the Stony Silences are helpful, but really this matchup is I'm not going to say it's great. So like I think we barely won game 1, and game 2 we just kind of locked them out pretty early. So yeah, this is. I mean, we certainly have the tools to beat Affinity, and this deck overall. I mean, we beat. What did we beat? We almost beat Death Shadow. I think we punted that matchup by not killing the red source. Um, so we could have won that if we played it better. We beat the Affinity deck. We beat the red white prison deck. We beat the Tron deck, and we beat the blue white control deck. So I think this deck actually does have the chops to compete. I certainly see the appeal of it. Todd Stevens, I think, is really onto something here. It's a very grindy deck. It's a lot grindier than the green white hate bears. It doesn't have the free wins that you get from the Leonin Arbiter, and everyone loves to play fetch lands. Like it makes our ghost quarters and our paths better. You don't really have that in this deck, but you have the longer attrition engines. You have like the Courser, you have the Ramanap Excavator, you have the Tireless Tracker, which you don't really get to see go off, but it certainly has that potential. But anyway, yeah, like the Net of the Reliquary is a cool card. It's a way to search out Ghost Quarter. That's certainly something I like. Maybe there's some sort of middle ground between the two that we can work on. But anyway, so this deck certainly a player in Modern, and if you're looking to get into Modern, this is certainly a deck that you should keep on your radar.